What's good, everybody? What is good? It is Big Game James in the house. What's up, T Smooth TV? Jumping in the building. We're about to get up in here. Wait for my people on Facebook to come on in here. Give me 1 second, big dog. I got Mr. James Whalen in the building today. I had him on the show a while back, but now I said, you know what? I got to get him in the building because tight ends being talked about. I got to get him back in here because he was a tight end for the Cowboys. He did all kind of different things that we can talk about. How you doing, Mr. Whalen?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me again, James.
Hey, yeah, man. I appreciate you taking out your time, so we can go ahead and jump in here and do this. I'm waiting for some more people getting in the building. Shout out to D Hill 817, Kid Roscoe, Boo Things in the bidding. You know what I'm saying? Keep on coming, because we're gonna have a good show today. I'm just pulling on my Facebook.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be fun because especially that story you was about to tell me. I was like, no, 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 don't you tell that story just yet. Don't you tell that story just yet because we got to talk about that. But how's everything going out there? Because I know you was in Texas. That weather is crazy out there. How did everything happen with the family? Was everybody okay through all that?
Yeah, everybody's fine. It was we lost power here at our house for about 60 hours, and we live kind of out a little bit in the country, so we're on a well, and we were out of water for about 100 hours, but we got it figured out. We were fortunate. We were actually on vacation in Colorado skiing for the first
Man,
48 hours of it, so we got home and only had to deal with it for about a day.
right.
And shoot, today it was 82. So welcome to Texas.
I know, right? Isn't that crazy? And what's so crazy out here? I'm out here in Ohio. It ain't no 80, but it felt like 80 today for real, because it was like 45 degrees, and we were all like, "Yeah, it's warm."
Mm-hmm.
But hey, let's jump right into it. Shout out to everybody's getting in the building. Craig English, all y'all keep on in here because we're gonna talk some tight ends. But first and foremost, I got a few questions for you. Now, I did some research on you, big dog. Now, we talked last time. I did some research on you. You were turned up at Kentucky your senior season. You had 90 catches for over 1,000 yards. You were setting NCAA records. Now, here's the thing, because I was out here in Ohio when they drafted Tim Couch, and I asked you, I was like, did you play with Tim Couch during that time? Because I know Tim Couch was going nutty. Tell me a little bit about that story, because it has Jared Lorenz in there, the big boy everybody knows about, who unfortunately passed away. RIP to him as well. But kind of tell me how that story and how that just transpired with you at Kentucky your senior year.
So I did a lot of similar things in high school, and had a big senior year, very similar to what happened in college. And but at the time, I really hadn't grown into my body. I didn't really get recruited. I went to a junior college my freshman year, and ended up. My mom and dad got a job transfer, and I'm from Portland, Oregon originally, so that's where I went to high school. And my folks actually moved back to Covington, Kentucky, which is northern Kentucky, for my dad's job after my freshman year in college, which was I spent it at Shasta Junior College in northern California. And they weren't real excited about the educational opportunities that I was receiving. So when they moved, they said, if you come back here, we'll help you pay for school, or you can stay and you're on your own. And I was like, well, that doesn't really sound like it's much of an option. But Dad said, he goes, listen, there's Ohio State, there's Kentucky, there's Tennessee, there's Kent State. He listed off Cincinnati, a handful of schools that you can come out here, walk on, play football, help you pay for your school. And I knew I could compete. I had certain offers out of high school, but I wanted to play Division I. I thought that was good enough. And so, I just kept pushing myself, and I showed up in Lexington as a walk-on. And basically when I got to Kentucky, I looked at all the different programs, and they had this quarterback there named Tim Couch. And that year they had just hired a coach named Hal Mummy, who I knew liked to throw the heck out of the football. And I figured he would need some people to catch the ball.
Right.
So it worked out really well. And, Tim and myself and a bunch of the other guys, you're good, kind of just bonded, and spent some extra time, and, did our thing. And, Tim, after our junior year, ended up declaring for the draft, and I think he was runner up for the Heisman, and he was the first pick in the draft and went to Cleveland. And Dusty stepped right in. Dusty Bonner, the backup quarterback, stepped right in, and that entire summer prior to the year, Dusty and I spent probably 3 to 4 hours a day, just the two of us. Nobody else wanted to show up, and it worked out really well for me. Just working and just working and just working, and we showed up in that first game, and to be honest with you, we got blown out by Louisville. But when it hit the fan and he didn't know what to do, he knew exactly where I was, knew what was going on, and it just started rolling from there. And it was that extra time that we put in the summertime where there was just that connection and trust.
Now, that's kind of crazy. So just looking at that, I just want to highlight this. You had your senior season, you had 90 catches for 1,000 yards.
The bowl game.
And that not even count the bowl game.
They didn't count the bowl game back then. They do now.
Yeah. What'd you do in the bowl game? Did you go crazy in the bowl game?
Okay, so this is the game you got to go back. So we played Syracuse in the Music City Bowl, and Keith Bullock, God bless him, was a outstanding linebacker at Syracuse, and he was an outstanding linebacker in the NFL for a long time. And I've talked to several of their guys over the years. So in the first quarter, I caught 4 balls for 80 yards and a touchdown. And I say first quarter, 7 minutes and 28 seconds left in the first quarter, I dislocated my elbow.
Oh.
And so I caught 4 for 80 in the first half of the first quarter, and we were up 10-0 rolling. And when I went out, everything stopped, and we ended up losing. And to a man, they'll look me in the face and say, you know that if you didn't get hurt, you would have blown us out. And I said, I know. that's one. I mean, we had put a whole different scheme in that week, and I was lining up in places I'd never lined up before, and they just defensively they were very confused, and it was easy. And unfortunately, I don't want to say it was Will Fuller, but Will, I can't remember his name. I just ran a little crossing route, caught a ball, and it was on like the 12-yard line, and I turned it up to score, and he came in, and instead of hitting me high, hit me low, and I kind of my legs went up in the air. When I came down, I put my arm down to brace my fall, and it just bent the wrong way.
Man,
unfortunately. So I didn't get the opportunity for, I went to the combine and I caught balls and I, weighed and did all that stuff, but I didn't get to lift or, because I was in a sling for basically 90 days after that. And
right.
Thank God they didn't have to do surgery. I had any issues with it, but yeah. So when people say 90, I always say, no, it's 94.
He says, I'm going to make a correction. That's 94.
Yeah, because they count that now.
They definitely count it now. Now, let me ask you this, James. When do you think that dislocated elbow, because you went in the 6th round, correct? 5th round. You went in the 5th round to the Tampa Bay. Did that drop you or hurt you because you had that elbow injury?
I mean, it certainly didn't help, and I don't know if I would have been a 5th round guy, or a 4th round guy, or my claim to fame that I tell my kids that I was like, listen, all I know is that I was drafted in 2000, I was 152, and Tom Brady was 199. So you can say what you want, but there were 32 teams that thought I was a better player than him at one point.
Yeah, we're going to say that, and we're going to live with that one. You feel me? Now you said some interesting things, J-Dub. One of the things, because we're going to talk about this Dak Prescott, we ain't really going to go hard on that, but we're going to talk about the Cowboys as a whole. Yeah. But something that you said, 2 things that you said to me stood out to me. One, you said your quarterback spent countless time and got that rapid. Y'all got that closeness. Y'all understood each other. And then you said when you played you started putting in different things, and you guys had like a fast break type offense in the early 2000s where it wasn't really like that run and shoot. Like you guys were playing that type of offense. So when you see the Cowboys right now, I mean, how important really is that when they talk about offseason, when Michael Gallup or some of the other receivers were training with Dak Prescott? Tell me how important that really is to get that bonding in the offseason when they're practicing together.
That is an intangible that cannot be measured. You can say what you want about this guy runs a 4.28. This guy comes out of his break. This guy can throw the ball, Uncle Rico over the mountains. You can say all those things, but until you put the work in, it doesn't
Right.
matter.
Right.
Just because everybody's a little bit different.
Right.
They run their routes a little bit different. They come out of them a little bit different. And that quarterback needs to know exactly where they're going to be, where their hands are, how they receive the ball, all of those things. And that only comes with time and effort and work.
Right. So, I mean, and we saw how much that we seen the rapport when he had with the other receivers this year. Cedric Wilson is one of the people that we actually had on the show, and they worked out a lot. And you could see how it bonded and see how much that meant to those two, coinciding. Now,
yeah,
I want to ask you a quick question. You watched the boys, you played with the boys, you watched them. What's kind of your thoughts of this season? I know it was COVID. What was your thoughts of the Cowboys this season in a nutshell?
disappointing. I mean, like everybody else. I mean, that's my team. That's my ride or die. And I watch every play regardless of win or lose. And it's a challenge. Defensively, they obviously they had some struggles, and it was hard to watch as not only a Cowboy but just as a fan. Like
Right.
it's the run defense struggled, the pass defense. I mean, they struggled. Offensively, I thought they were pretty good at the first part of the year. Obviously, Dak was there, but I don't know if that's a faction of they were down, so they had to throw the ball more and get the ball down the field more, and teams are playing different defenses. I mean, you cannot start football games down 17-0. It just it's not conducive to being successful long term.
Right.
And turnovers. So it wasn't just the defense. It wasn't just the special teams. It was all three phases. To be honest, just played poorly, and they played poorly at times. You could tell when they played, the Pittsburgh game, for example, when they played a little bit better collectively, they got a chance.
Right.
You can't turn the ball over, and you can't give up big plays. And those are the two things that they did.
Yeah. And now let me ask you this. Do you think it was a combination of your coaches and your players? Because we seen Mike Nolan. He got fired after one season. He tried to throw the 3-4 in. It was the COVID season. Guys weren't able to really practice that on the field. You played the game. If you have a situation where you're going to a whole new offense, you need to have practice. You can't look at iPads and just look at things like that. You actually have to go through it. Do you think that had a big issue with the defense, that you're trying to convert and move a 4-3 to a 3-4, but you're not able to go on the field and be able to practice these things? Tell me how big of a thing was that?
Well, I think it's a very big thing. I mean, I think it's a challenge for any defensive player. So here's what I tell people. The biggest difference between college and the NFL is there'll be mental defensive breakdowns in college. You'll see a guy running wide open down the field, catch a 60, 70-yard catch. You don't see that in the NFL. Why? Because those guys are paid professionals that don't make that mistake. Right. And unfortunately, you saw that. I don't want to say over and over again, but you saw that often this year.
You did see it over and over again.
You can't play. You can't play full speed if you're not confident in what you're supposed to be doing. And as fast as those guys are, if you're not playing full speed, it's a moot point. I liken it to this. So obviously I went to school in Kentucky. I'm sure you're a basketball guy and you're up there in Columbus.
Yep.
How bad is the Kentucky Wildcats men's basketball team right now?
Y'all, Kentucky's basketball, they've been legendary. This Calipari ain't been able to ski.
But this year.
Right.
This year they're terrible, right? How about Duke? How about North Carolina? How about all the other one and done schools?
Right.
So if you look at it and you're like, wow, all these schools that send all these players to the NBA have all these freshmen coming in, but they didn't have the time because of COVID to build the core that it takes in practice. It's the same thing that happened with Mike Nolan. I'm not saying Mike Nolan's a great defensive coach. I don't know the man. I just I just know that it was disappointing.
Right.
But I liken it to Duke basketball, who doesn't do this? Kentucky basketball, who doesn't do this? North Carolina basketball, who doesn't do this? All the one and dones that have to come in and have 1 year to learn that didn't get that opportunity. It is. I mean, it's just. I think it's just a faction of the time we live in right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I got a question from one of my guys. He's the lunatic, and it's about Blake Jarwin. He says Blake Jarwin is coming off an ACL injury. What injury issues do you think will give him difficulty this year? What's your thoughts about that, J-Dub?
Well, you know what? I don't think he's going to have. I mean, because it happened so early in the year. I
Right.
mean, he's had a full 12 or 13 months recovery time. It's not like it happened in week 6 or week 7 or week 8. I mean, so I think he'll be, and I know, Dr. Cooper for the Cowboys, and I know all the training staff, and from what I understand, he's going to be prepped and ready, and he'll be good to go.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask you about this. Now, you know what I'm saying? You play tight end, and you were a receiver, and then you moved to tight end, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
So now let me ask you, is there advantages? Because I'm going to ask you about a player. He plays in the SEC. I don't know if you know about him. It's Kid Pitts. He's a tight end over at Florida, and a lot of people are talking about.
I know.
Okay, so now you play receiver, and they're like, he ain't like a tight end. He's more like a receiver playing tight end.
Right.
Now you went from receiver to tight end. Are there advantages for you when you go from receiver? Because there's some guys that have just go straight to tight end. Now you went from receiver to tight end. Is there advantages for you? Because this kid looks like more of a receiver.
I think there's advantages, and I think there's disadvantages.
Tell us about them.
The advantages are I can see the field. I mean, that was one of the great things that and I have tried to teach it and coach it, and it's so when you're looking at a defense, I just lost my earbud there. When you're looking at a defense, it's a pendulum. So what you see on one side, generally you're going to see the exact inverse on the other side. And I had the ability that within that first step, before that first step hit the ground, I could see the angle of the linebacker, safety, or corner in front of me. And without looking to the other side of the field, I knew exactly where they were and where they were headed. Right. And that just came from years of being a receiver. It's understanding how the defense moves, works. It's looking at eyes, feet, and hips. So that's something that was very helpful for me, especially a tight end when they moved me in. Now your hands in the ground, and it's a little harder to see, but you can still see that guy in front of you, and you can still see that first movement based off of his hips, his eyes, and his first step. And before his first step hits the ground, before mine hits the ground, I generally had the ability to know everything that was happening on the other side of the field without looking. And I've tried for 20 years now to figure out how to coach that, and I can't do it or teach that. But it's just one of those God-given gifts that I had, that I understood the whole push and pull and how things work and where the safety is going to be and where the corner is going to be, and it just worked out. People would say, "Well, what's this coverage?" I don't know, but I can tell you when his first step exactly where everybody's going to be. You can call it what you want, but
right.
The difference is obviously just tight end's tough because you're asked to be agile and quick and nimble like a wide receiver, but big, bulky, strong, and aggressive like a lineman. And you have to be able to do both, right? So I mean, it's if you're a wide receiver and they're telling you, "Hey, come in, put your hand in the dirt, and we're going to block this guy." Well, when I was there, I mean, defensive ends were 290 pounds. I was, when I first made the move, I was 240. I got up to about 255 or so, and I'm actually, I think, turned myself into a not necessarily a great blocker, but I wasn't a liability.
Right.
And it's, you've got to learn a whole new game: hand placement, foot placement, hip placement, leverage. It's something that I had never done my whole life. So it's there's advantages and disadvantages, and the hard part, I think, coaches today are much, much more prepared and more receptive to take a bigger receiver and move him in and be able to take advantage of his and not his liabilities. when I was there, they just look at you and be like, "You're a tight end. I'm sorry, this is what you do.
Really?
This is you're going to fit into my system." And it wasn't that way in college, but in the NFL, that's the way it was. And I mean,
Mhm.
I saw Rocket Ishmael not that long ago, and we talked about it all the time. And he was like, he goes, you were about 10 years too early for that. He goes,
I know, because
if you had
think about
you
this,
had just come
J-Dub.
on
If you
about
was
10 more years later. But
you would have
I
been
mean, Bill
perfect.
Parcells, Dave Campo. I mean, they wanted me to put my hand in the ground, and we're going to run power, and we're gonna run the ball right behind you, and you're going to be, and granted, when I came there, I mean, David LaFleur was 280 pounds. I mean,
Mhm.
and he was, so it's like that's the mold that they asked me to fit in, but that's
Right.
not what I did. I did my best to learn to do that, right? But it's just
Mhm.
you can see the game has evolved, and even my
Mhm.
teammates, like I said, I mean, see it. So you're about a decade too early, bud.
And you know what's crazy? What you're talking about, that J-Dub? See, and that correlates what we can talk about Blake Jarwin, because when we talk about Blake Jarwin, everybody's always like, he can't block. He can catch the ball. He can, he can stretch the field. He's like a gazelle, but he can't block. Now, here's my thing. You got Blake Jarwin, you got Dalton Schultz. Blake Jarwin goes out with Achilles injury. Dalton Schultz comes out, and I mean, I was hating on Dalton Schultz. I'm not gonna lie, J-Dub. I was hating on him because I'm like, man, you just regular. And I still think he's not astronomical, but what he came in and did, I was very happy because he came and showed and proved. When you look at the two tight ends, what do you think when you said, man, I had to put my hand in the dirt? That wasn't really me. That was more LaFleur. Well, when we see Blake Jarwin, he's not really a blocker. Should they try to morph him into blocking, or should they say, look, you're a receiving tight end and let's just use that as what you are great at and let's get some blocking tight ends? Or should they be like what they were doing like the year before when they had Garrett and he wasn't really catching the ball, he's blocking more for Jason Witten? What do you think they should do as far as him? Should they just have him as a receiving tight end or have him put blocks too?
So I know this, and I don't know that much about Blake Jarwin. Obviously, I watched Dalton Schultz play all year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have been Jerry Jones, and God bless Jerry, I love him. At one point this year, somebody said it that Blake Jarwin was the best athlete on the team. Just pure athlete.
Mm-hmm.
That says a lot. Okay, so obviously we need to put him on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I watched plenty of film of Jay Novacek, and Jay could block a little bit, but he did
Uh-huh.
a bunch of arc releasing and go block linebackers, and that's what I'm talking about when you have a coaching staff that says I'm going to line you up in a 3-point stance, and your job is to block this defensive end one-on-one and pass protection. Okay, well that's probably not going to work out so well for the quarterback or
Right.
long term, coach.
Right.
So it's just understanding your personnel and being able to use it. I will say this: I listened when I heard that Jarwin got hurt. I watched the first week, and the media, local media, was absolutely killing Dalton Schultz, killing him. He had
Yeah.
dropped a ball or two. I mean, they were, and but I watched him real carefully that game, and I thought, I don't think he really played that bad. I thought he did okay. He was respectable, in his position. And then you watch the rest of the year. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but I think he's a guy that earned himself probably a 10 or 12-year career this year just based off of being consistent. And the stability is availability. And he did it every week, and he made big plays when he had to, and he's a good blocker. So I think, personally, I think those two, and I don't know who the third is, but I think those two, I think you'd be foolish to spend a draft pick based off of what you have. I think you have a very good group of just those two to be able to go out there week in and week out.
All right, so you already know the next question is coming right now, coming right. So, all right, so you got the draft, right?
I
Dallas
don't
is
draft
picking it.
him.
You're not going to
I don't.
draft him? Okay.
I don't draft him.
All right, so you're at 10. Now
Nope.
I'm gonna get you to explain it now. I'm gonna get you to explain it, J-Dub. But you at 10. Got a lot of players on the
Yeah.
board. And this is maybe could be
I need a lot of other positions other than tight end.
okay. So, but if you got a
I
guy
need an
that can,
offensive lineman. I need a
okay,
safety. I need a
okay.
linebacker, and I need anybody that can play D line.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Let me ask you this. I'm gonna play devil's advocate, J Dub. Let's say you drafted Pitts. You got 10 picks. You couldn't still go hard in the draft after that?
Nope.
Now listen, hold up. Before you finish that, look
Nope.
at last year. Hold up. Look at last year, though.
What about last year?
I'm saying they drafted CD Lamb at 17. Hold up. They drafted CD Lamb at 17. And then after that, they got Diggs, who was a pretty good player, would you say? Was decent? Yes?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
And then after that, he's got to learn, but yes.
He's got to learn. Gallimore, Neville Gallimore, I would like how I think he's trending upwards. Would you say that?
Agreed. It was nice to see them get rid of Dontari Poe.
Exactly. And then we didn't get to see Bradley Anae or Reggie Robinson, but let's hope. I still feel like there may be potential there, but you still got 4 solid guys from the defense when you drafted a player in CeeDee Lamb, and let's say they already had a Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper.
Okay.
You feel me, J-Dub?
So where are you going with this?
I'm going. You had 2 good receivers in Gallup and Cooper, and you still got CeeDee Lamb. And you feel good about that.
And let me ask you this. Me ask you this.
I'm a defensive guy now, J-Dub, before you say anything.
Because they just don't get it. What position? Okay, let me ask this. So,
all right.
So when you grade a position over a year, do you do it on an A/B scale or do you do it on a number scale? How do you grade?
I would say it would be more of a number scale.
Okay. So if you just grade the tight end position from 2020, just and all the people that were in there and how they performed, what number would you put on the tight ends for last year?
For last year? Ooh. I'd have to go and do some numbers, but I would say the tight end wasn't great this year.
What games were you watching?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna tell you something right now, J-Dub. I follow Cowboys more than anything. I don't be going hard on something. I be getting so immersed. I don't be watching. You tell me.
I mean, I'd probably grade them out in the low 80s.
Name the top.
Where they struggle was their offense. Where they struggle was their offensive line.
Okay,
that's what they need to fix.
Okay.
And you can say, Tyrone is coming back, and
I know I ain't said that though.
The right tackle, he's coming.
Nope, because I'm already been on the train.
Tyron Smith, I think, is one of the. He can't stay healthy. They have to replace him.
I've been said that though, J-Dub. I've been saying that the last 2 years that they need to look at that. People been getting on me, going hard on me, like, oh, Tyron Smith, you can't be talking about Tyron Smith. But I'm like, dog, he's missing 4 games a year. You just had neck surgery. They're talking about he's in the gym. Of course they're gonna. I'm just saying, you're gonna talk about preaching positivity. He's in the gym. I don't care. You have back injuries for 4 straight. I mean, you have 4 straight years where you missed 4 games. You just had neck surgery. I said that when that Jamal Adams thing, I'd have did a straight up trade for Jamal Adams and Tyron Smith, but people was killing me. So I already said you need to address this tackle in this draft. The guy that they're talking about, maybe Slater from Northwestern, I don't know if he could be the guy at the left tackle position, though.
I mean, my thought is this, is that based off the way the tight end room, because that's what I call it, it's a room, it's collective, played. I would be spending my – if you're going to go offense, right, you don't need a quarterback, you don't need a running back, you don't need receivers. I don't think tight end. I would spend that capital on the offensive line if you're going to go offense. If you're going to go defense, I would focus it on the defensive line.
Would you go after now they're saying that we're talking about 10. You said defensive lineman. Would you go the defensive lineman? Would you go that high in the first round, or would you kind of let that trickle down because they saying there's a lot of defensive linemen that really aren't first round grades?
Well, and that's somewhere where they kind of got in trouble a couple of years ago with the Taco Charlton, right? They felt like they had to pick a defensive lineman, so they did. and it didn't work out. Now I do think they've got some young kids that are going to improve and be better. Um, but
What's
I
your
think
thoughts
you
on
just got
Tristan
to.
Hill?
I thought he was okay. I thought he was okay at times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's. I loved watching Rod Marinelli's defenses because they hustled and they didn't
Right.
quit, and their motor was big.
Right.
And I didn't see that last year with Mike Nolan. That was my
Mm-hmm.
biggest disappointment was the motor, the hustle, the relentless pursuit of the ball. I didn't see that.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw guys kind of quote unquote filling their gap and just doing their thing. But and that's just a Marinelli thing, right? It's just and he's going to
Yeah.
keep doing. He's always done it. He's going to keep doing it.
Yep.
But for me, I think where they need help is up front on the defensive
Mm-hmm.
side, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
whether it's in the linebacker group. I mean, obviously not having Leighton Vander Esch for quite some time hurt them. Having Jalen Smith play out of position hurt them. That's an answer I don't know, because if you put them back in positions where they're more comfortable, does that change it? Was it the scheme? What was it? But I did, I will say that Jalen Smith seemed slower last year than he's seemed in a long time. And again, I think that goes back to not understanding the defense and not being able just to explode.
All right, now that's funny because I want to talk to you about that with this Jalen Smith thing, because a lot of people have got on him, J Dub, this year, and
No, he didn't
people have
play
been.
well. I
I
mean,
know, and they said
let's
they're
be
talking
honest,
about, but would you cut him?
huh?
Would you? A lot of people are saying cut him. Would you cut him?
I don't know. I don't know enough right now to make that choice. But I will
Okay.
say this: I said, having watched the games last year, not watching the film, watching
Mm-hmm.
the games, I was disappointed in his ability to discern what was happening in front of him and get there quicker.
Now let me ask you this, because do you think he may not, because you played the game and you've been on the field, do you think that he may not have that football IQ?
All I know is he just listening to him. He seems extremely intelligent. So I can't answer that, but I do know, when I was there, our offense was not great. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but we were in the top 3 to 5 defensively every year I was there, even though we were 5-11 3 years in a row.
Right.
That win and Dexter Coakley, they ran that show, and Darren Woodson, they ran that show. Greg Ellis, they ran that show, and they could discern what was going on. It's kind of like when I go back and I tell you that before my foot hit the ground, I knew what was going on the other side.
Right.
Before that offensive lineman's foot stepped down, Datwin and Dexter Coakley were already past him. I mean, it was understanding, it was film study, they were so quick and strong, but they more than that, it was intelligence, and it was preparation.
Well, you know what? See, and that's what I've been hearing, and I'm not gonna, put this label on it, but that's what I've been hearing, though, that there hasn't been a lot of studying, and that they can monitor how much you are studying the playbooks and how much they can check in. I feel like just listening to you and just watching, even with Sean Lee, and just listening, because I watched Dexter Coakley, and like they said, pre-snap, being able to read and be able to react and see things ahead of time. We see Jalen and even Leighton Vander Esch, time and time again, they're not making the plays behind the line of scrimmage. It's always after the line of scrimmage. Yeah, you can get hella tackles by doing that, but when you're really a great linebacker, in my opinion, is when you can already dissect what they're going to do. When I had a video of Luke Kuechly where he could already dissect everything, and his film study was second to none, and that's how you dissect.
See,
go ahead.
The film study you talk about is there, and I can't speak for Jalen or Leighton. Dat and Dexter, it's all formations. It's formations. It's down and distance, and it's tendency. So I mean, literally, they're out there doing calculus, and they'll come up the line and know that it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 2nd and 7. It could be any down and distance. They'll see a formation and they'll know what's coming, and they're calling it out in practice. They're calling it out, in the games. And the second they see that guard or tackle or whatever, their foot move in the direction and eyeballs, they're already there. which is why they're able to make, tackles at the line of scrimmage and tackles in the backfield. So it's not just film study of this is our defense.
Mm-hmm.
It is intense, hardcore film study of the other team and the preparation for that week in terms of here are their tendencies. Here's what they've done for the last 13 weeks. This is what they're going to run on 1st and 10. This is what they're going to run on 2nd and 9. This, but it's calculus out there for them. So it was really impressive to watch those two, do what they did.
Is there a cultural issue in Dallas from afar?
Huh?
Is there a culture issue from afar? Are you looking
Culture.
from afar in Dallas?
What do you mean by that?
Meaning that why is the same thing happening year in and year out, and why are the Cowboys mediocre? The same things happen year in and year out. You had Garrett, and I'm not trying to bust on him, but you had 10 years of you had talent and you didn't get over. You crossed over. You got a Mike McCarthy, and guess what? The same things are still continually to happen year in and year out. What do you think is what do you think is the reason with this?
Well, I do know this. I know that Troy has come out recently and made some comments about there being a need for a change in culture, which that's pretty strong comments from somebody that, obviously him and Jerry are very close, and I think that winning in the NFL is so hard that it's hard. I mean, it's really, really hard. You can be a player away at any given time. What was Tampa Bay's record last year?
Right. But did they
what
go
was
hard
it this year?
Right. But let's also say this though, J-Dub. What did they do? They went out and got some, and I'm not saying Stephen Jones go out there and spend all kind of money, but they went out there and got some key free agents to make a difference. Dallas is still in that mode of we're going to build through our own. Okay, we're going to build through our draft. We're going to take care of our own, and we're not going to spend too much money in free agency.
Right.
But don't you think you need to get a few key free agents to get you over the hump?
Oh, I absolutely do. Absolutely. And I think they tried to do that last year, and the guys they got just didn't work.
Right.
Don Terry Poe and some other guys that they ended up cutting mid-year. I mean,
Everson Griffin.
But, exactly. I wouldn't mind them going to get Richard Sherman this year. I wouldn't mind them going to get, 2 or 3 guys that can fit in. And, if you look back in the 90s when they were winning Super Bowls, they went and got Charles Haley, right? They went and got Deion Sanders. They went, so it's proven to them that when they feel that they're there, that they're there, but are just, so close, they'll spend the money. They'll go get it. But, it's just maybe they don't feel like they're there yet. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this question. You were there in the early 2000s. How much effect did Stephen Jones have at that time?
At that time, it was Jerry's running the show.
Okay.
I'd probably say Stephen, and I like Stephen. I always likes the super nice guy, man. I'd probably say he obviously he was there, daily and whatnot. But I would probably say sometime in the late 2000s, early 2010 is when his role really increased and he started being more of the GM.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, I feel like he's running the show now.
That's
Jerry
what I feel.
has a say for sure. Jerry has a say, absolutely. But Stephen and Will McClay are the two that are putting the pie together.
All right. So you said this about Stephen. I'm frustrated with Stephen. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna just tell you my point, and you tell me how, kind of bounce and let me know. Jerry, I never hated on Jerry. I liked how he was bold, and if you needed a player, he would go out there and get it. Stephen kind of reeled that in and said, no, we're not going to do that anymore. And he's took over a different approach. I was cool with that because you want to get the salary cap together and things of that nature. But it seems to me, in my opinion, looking from afar, I'm tired of seeing these games playing in the media with the players contract. You're always talking about the players in the media and the contract. We got this situation with Dak Prescott now. It's still going on. And I understand, like I said, I like how he's got the cap together as far as the Cowboys, and you can go out and get those guys. But it's almost like he doesn't want to take that next level of going and get a young guy and say, well, let's get you to a 5 or 6 year deal. because we want to have you as a guy that's going to be a player that's going to be with us a long time. It's almost like he's scared to do it since that Brandon Carr thing happened. It's almost like they got gun shy. And in my opinion, they're passing over players in free agency and missing the mark. And that's why they're not getting over the hump as well, because you need these type of guys in free agency to make your team. We've seen it time and time again from these other teams. They go from 4-12, 5-11, and the next thing you know, Tampa Bay, they're in the Super Bowl. That happens. And it seems like Dallas is still taking this long approach, and it's frustrating for a lot of Cowboys fans. I mean, kind of, what do you think about that? Do you think Steven needs to move the needle a little bit?
I've been pretty happy with, from a drafting perspective, what Will McClay and Steven and the organization has done in the draft for the past, 5 to 10 years. From a free agency standpoint, I would like to see bigger names come in. From a contract standpoint, I heard something, and I think it might have been Emmett. I don't know, but they were talking about how they're refusing to make a commitment to Dak, and how that could hurt his, psyche or whatever going forward. And my thought, and I heard somebody else say this, was they offered him $135 million. If that's not a commitment, what the hell is?
All right, but
I mean, he chose not to accept it, and that's his choice. So you can't say that the team did not commit to him. The team did commit to him, but they couldn't come to terms on years. That they did commit.
All right, but let me ask you this. I'm going to play devil's advocate with you. So they want, in Dallas, and you've been there, they traditionally like to do the 5 to 6 year deals, okay?
They tried to do a 5-year deal, and he wanted a 4-year deal.
Right, but when you looked at the numbers per the other quarterbacks, it was a little bit lower. Even though it was a high contract, it was a little bit lower compared to his other peers. Now,
but let's be honest. Where does he sit within those peers?
He's better. He's better than that quarterback. He's better than that quarterback in Tennessee, and he was lower than that APR than him. He's better than that quarterback. What do you if you got Dak right now? Is he a top 10 quarterback? Where would you put him in the top 10?
I mean, I'd probably put him at 12 or 13.
Ooh, who is your top 10?
And I like him.
Who is your top 10, big dog?
Well, I mean, you could just brace. You got Brady, Breeze, Rodgers. I mean,
I'm not giving that to Breeze now. Breeze not that guy no more. I'm sorry, J-Dub. He's not.
He wasn't in the playoff game, but what was their record last year?
Right, but he's not that guy anymore. He's not. You putting him in the top.
Are you taking Dak Prescott or Kirk Cousins?
I'm taking Dak Prescott over Kirk Cousins.
I am as well.
Okay, but, and you taking him over Ryan Tannehill too, right? What?
Yes,
oh my gosh.
yes. But I will say this. Dak has better weapons, much better weapons than Ryan Tannehill has.
Ryan Tannehill had weapons. Ryan Tannehill is an average quarterback. Sorry.
Okay. So at average, where's that put him? 15, 16?
I mean, he ain't no top 10 quarterback to me. Not no Ryan Tannehill. No.
So there
you got Derek. You got Derek.
You got Russell. You got Russell Wilson.
Yes.
I mean,
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson. Now you're making me go through the list.
Yeah, I'm making you. You gonna
Trevor
say Josh?
Can I say Trevor Lawrence? No,
hell no, you ain't saying no Trevor Lawrence. Hell no, you ain't getting that. He ain't played it down.
Josh Fields.
Come on, man.
No, you know here's the thing: is I actually think Dak Prescott is a very, very good NFL quarterback, and I'm happy to have him because I think that they can win a Super Bowl with him, and they need to get him signed. But on the flip side, as a player, I get that he wants a long-term commitment. What did he make? $35 million last year on the franchise tag?
He made $31 million on the franchise tag.
Okay, and this year the number is what, 38?
Yep. And they're gonna probably have to do close to 40.
Right. So basically 2 years for 70 some million dollars. He's okay with that. because it's guaranteed money the minute he signs it.
Right. But you wouldn't feel slighted as you. Okay, let me ask you. You wouldn't feel slighted. I'm asking you. If you sign another deal, they don't come to another deal, and you sign another franchise tag, you're going to say you feel like the organization really deeply wants you when they haven't did any 4-year deals. This is what I'm saying to you, Jane. And
me personally, no. Are you kidding me? I'm going to make $40 million this year, and it's guaranteed no matter what happens. And my ankle can snap in half again, and I'm going to make another $40 million. Absolutely not. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I will sign the franchise tag too. But if you have a long-term deal though, and if it's a 5-6 year deal, right? And this TV money is coming up, and you could probably get cut out of it because you're in a long-term deal, you're going to sign that, James.
But he doesn't want a long term. He wants 4 years.
He wants a short, because he doesn't want to get cut out.
Deal.
Right, because he doesn't want to get cut out of that big TV money that's coming. You wouldn't do that. Come on now.
So even if they franchise him this year and he does a 3-year deal, he's still further ahead than the 1 year or the 4-year deal he wanted last year.
I'm just saying though, you're going to cut yourself out of money. That's what I'm asking you. Would you cut yourself out of money when you know a TV deal is coming? You're going to cut yourself out of money because if you're in that 5 or 6 year deal, the longer it is, the lower that money drops. And that.
I hear what you're saying. No, I get that. But if somebody came to me right now and said, "Hey, here's $40 million for 1 year," you're not hurting my feelings. Let's go play.
Well, do you think he's going to get? Do you think he's going to get signed?
I believe the answer should be thank you.
Do you think he's going to sign? Do you think they're going to sign him?
I think he'll get it. They'll get it done. They'll figure it out and get it done. I know Jerry very well and have for years, and he loves his players and he cares about his players, and they know that. So I think personally, I think it'll get done, prior to the March, I think it's 9th or whatever deadline. So I think it'll get done and we can put it behind us and go forward.
Well, I'm hoping I'm gonna believe on you, because right now I don't have that confidence. I think they play too many games for me. In my opinion, I think they play too much. You was actually in the organization, I was not, but I feel like they play too many games in the media with their star players. You don't have to talk all like that. Just get the deals done. You play in there in that media and you play the games, and it's just, I feel like it's not necessary. And at the end of the day, it's 26 years and running. Something's got to change for these Cowboys, because at the end of the day, you see these teams that are not better. You see these teams that have talent just like the Cowboys, but yet they're winning.
They are better. That's the thing, is they maybe not.
But why are they better though?
But in individual years they are better. It's go back to Romo and the whole Dez catch. What were they, 13-3? And I mean, there's a lot of different reason things happen. I mean, it's hard to win in the NFL.
True story.
Look at Atlanta. Atlanta should have won a Super Bowl, right? I mean, and they didn't. And to be honest with you, yes, they need to sign Dak, and I think that they know they do. If you look at Tom Brady as an example, what's he been to, 7 Super Bowls, or he's won 7? He's been to more than 7.
Right.
It's all about the quarterback. It's all about the quarterback. And, this year, as an example, when he got hurt, God bless it, I think Dalton came in. It took him a while, but he didn't have the offensive line. I mean, there's so many variables that just it's challenging.
Yeah, for sure. Well, my guy says he gives me the $10 holla. Shout out to you, Tariq Salim, for the $10 holla. Says, stop playing with Big Game James and just say it. J-Dub said, we need some junkyard dogs on this team, not all that fancy glitter and gold and owners and players talking in the media all the time. Tell them, Tariq, stop all that glitter and gold. We need some dogs. We do. We need dogs. We don't got dogs. We got people that get all butthurt in the media and get on Twitter when people say you ain't playing good. And I'm gonna go to that. I'm gonna tell people how, what I'm saying, we got softies low key, in my opinion. We need to get some more hardcoreness. And I feel like I don't know really where the true leaders are on the team. And I feel like that is a problem. And I feel like, just in my opinion, The top, it starts at the top. And if things are not happening at the top, it trickles down. And then that's why you have mediocre. And right now, in my opinion, I've been a lifelong Dallas fan, but I feel like Dallas has been mediocre for too long. And to have this much talent that has come in the building, it should not be mediocre year in and year out. That's just my opinion.
No, I don't disagree with you, but I also, with free agency and with the draft, every year is different. So it's yes, I get it. It's been 26 years. Understand all of that, but every training camp is different. Every team is different. Nowadays you're gonna have a new coach every few years. I mean, so it's constantly revolving, and I think you have to look at individual years and say what happened this year. What
Mm-hmm.
happened that year, instead of saying,
Mm-hmm.
well, what's happened for the last 26 years? Because there are several teams that would like to be 26 years.
Right. Well, I mean, my thing is you have this tradition in Dallas. You're going to always have people coming in the building. And my thing is you have this talent. You got to get a hold of this because there's no reason for the Cowboys to be 6-10. Even when you lost Dak Prescott like that, there was a lot of games that you still could have won and you just dropped the ball. So hopefully
Not with that offensive line, you couldn't.
I don't know, dog. There was some games where there was some bad play by the defense where the offense still kept them in the game and bad plays by defense, and you still lost. So I know the
I hear
offensive
you.
line wasn't great, but we'll see what happens with that. La'el Collins is supposed to be coming back. We'll see what happens with Tyron Smith, and hopefully they'll hit that draft. They need at least to get – they need a draft offensive tackle in this draft. That's a must, in my opinion. Remember when we were talking about the defense? You got to add an offensive tackle in this draft for sure, more than anything else. So going into – I'm about to let you off here in a minute, big dog, but going into 2021, they just got Dan Quinn as the defensive coordinator. Kind of what's your thoughts about Dan Quinn?
Well, he was the architect there of the Legion of Boom, if I'm remembering correctly. So, I mean, obviously from a defense coordinator perspective, he's had a lot of success, and their defense in Atlanta, obviously, I thought was it was decent. It wasn't a Baltimore Ravens type defense, but I thought it held their own and gave them an opportunity to win games. And that's all you ask. Offensively, give us a chance to win this game. Defensively, give us a chance to win this game. Special teams, give us a chance to win this game. Bill Parcells would tell you all the time, it's not the amount of great plays you make, it's the amount of bad plays you avoid. And that's what we talk about, turnovers and big plays. So I think if they can figure out how to limit the number of bad plays, I think that will I think you'll see a huge jump in production, from a win percentage.
Okay. I want to ask you about a couple more players. Guy that kind of stepped up, I don't know, Donovan Wilson. A lot of people, we talk about the safety position and probably need to add another person. But what was your thoughts on Donovan Wilson? He came out of nowhere. I liked him since when they picked him up at Texas A&M, and we were all clamoring like, why can't he get some tick? He finally got in there and did some work. What's your kind of thoughts about Donovan Wilson?
I thought he played well. Obviously I'm not watching the tape, so I don't, he did a good job of making what I like to call splash plays, where, you see him, out there, doing things, but obviously he's got a lot more snaps to have. So I think what he earned was the opportunity to compete for the starting job. I don't think he's ready to walk in as the Darren Woodson, cemented starter. But I do think that he earned the opportunity to be in the conversation, and depending on who they do bring in, possibly to be at the top of the conversation.
For sure. Now I'm a defensive guy, and I always be like, defense wins champion. Offense sells tickets. You played offense. Offense sells tickets. Defense wins championships. I could be wrong, but I don't believe so. But let me ask you, you had a top defenses. Y'all didn't have a great offense, but your defense always kept y'all in the game.
Yep.
Would you now offense
and
is
don't
great.
Don't think we didn't know it. And it wasn't something where the defense would come after us in the locker room or anything like that. But we knew it, that we weren't holding up our end of the ball game.
They would never say nothing to you. Y'all didn't never have the okay. That's cool because I've heard about that in the locker rooms where defense get mad at offense because they can't score and they keep on stopping people. That wasn't really going on in the building.
I never witnessed that or saw that, and you know, but I get it. We knew, hey, we've got to we've got to hold up our end of the bargain here. They're out there playing their ass off, and we need to do the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. So, is it, if you had a choice, if you're going to win a Super Bowl, would it be a great offense or a great defense?
Oh gosh, there's no question. If you score more points than the other team, you still win.
So you the offensive guy. I'm a defensive guy.
Course.
Shut them down. Shut them down. I ain't trying to hear none of that, J-Dub.
I mean, 72-71's a W.
Yeah, but 69-5 is 69-5 is even better.
It's a lot more exciting for the fans.
I don't care about excitement. I want to shut down. You ain't going nowhere, because guess what? That offense is going to be in the mud. It's going to be in the rain, and it ain't going to throw them touchdowns. But that defense can carry in that mud, in that rain, and that shine all the time. And when we seen these playoffs this year, that defense took over.
Defense and running games.
I'm just saying, defense took over.
Welcome, Derrick Henry.
A shout out to my guy Tariq Salim. He says, hold up, we should be okay with not being in the Super Bowl for 26 years. The Pittsburgh Steelers and San Francisco 49ers don't think like that, should we?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. We should have the the mental thought that, hey, every year our opportunity and our goal is to, first of all, win the NFCs, is to win the NFC, and that is to go win a Super Bowl. And that needs to be the goal every single year. If you don't have that goal, then there's no point in even playing. So no, we should not be okay with it. My point was simply saying that there are a ton of teams in the NFL that haven't even sniffed what we have.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you that yes, we need to do some things going forward to get deeper into the playoffs. And past that, we need to just go win it and stop pussyfooting around, and let's go and just take advantage of the opportunity and seize the moment.
From afar, J-Dub, do you think the Cowboys will see a Super Bowl anytime soon?
Yeah, I do.
You think so? I don't.
Sure. Okay.
I mean, not even hating. It's just I just feel like, and as long as those kind of things stay at the top the way they are, I just feel like we'll be good. The team will be good. It'll win games. It may win the East, but I feel like to get to that next level, some few things need to happen, and I'm not seeing those things happen. I feel like until those things happen, I feel like they're just going to be in that plane where it's like, dang it, we get there, but this don't happen. That's just my opinion, and I feel like they really got to figure out this Dak Prescott thing out, because if they don't, yeah, it's just going to be like starting over. Because if they don't address that by the draft, would you draft a quarterback? If they don't have Dak Prescott signed to anything and the draft comes, would you take a quarterback?
No, I think they have to sign him to the franchise tag. I want to say March. There's a day there
by March 9th.
But
what if it doesn't happen?
If it doesn't happen?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no! First of all, they're going to offer him the franchise tag. Second of all, he's going to sign it. He just blew his ankle out. Of course, he's not going. I mean, he's going to sign it. But the question I have is, if he's only on the franchise tag, do you draft a quarterback?
That's what I mean. And if let's say they tag him,
do I know? No.
Would you draft a quarterback? Your opinion?
No. I think you've got the quarterback.
Okay.
I think he's the quarterback, and the rest is just terms of here and there, and the media playing games. I think everybody's happy, and he'll be fine, and the team will be fine, and eventually they will work out a long-term deal, and he's going to be here. Well, and I think he's the right quarterback to win in Dallas. Not only his play, but I think his personality. I think everything about him is really good. There are times that I worry about his accuracy. I felt like it was much improved this year at the beginning of the year, so I was very optimistic about that. And I think he's just going to keep improving, and with the weapons he has around him, I think that you need to make sure he gets signed, get you an offensive lineman or two, and offensively you're set for the next 6 years.
Okay, you heard it from J Dub, man. And I really appreciate you jumping on here like you did, man.
Man, I gotta go. I gotta go put my kids to bed.
That's what I said. I appreciate you jumping on here. Thank you for taking your time out, man. I really do appreciate it. And I want to tell you one last thing. The first time I talked to you, Jay, I had a whole bunch of people since then that have played with you. We had Darren Woodson on the team. Darren Woodson on the
Woody.
show. Mm-hmm. Did you play with George Teague?
Yep.
George Teague. We didn't get to have Mario Edwards on yet, but I talked to Mario. Quincy Carter.
Oh yeah.
Quincy. Anthony Wright.
Yep.
So I done had some guys on there. Greg Ellis.
Yep.
All right. So I done had some guys on here, big dog. Since I last
you need to get a hold of my boy old Clint Sterner from Arkansas.
Why don't you holler at him and tell him to holler at me?
Just hit him up on Facebook. He's down in Houston.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say, hey, James told me to holler at you, so I'm gonna get him on. He told me better not play no games with me because J Dub told me to holler at you.
You're funny. All right, man. Well, you guys have fun. Thank you for having me.
Hey, I appreciate you, dog, and we'll be talking to you soon, man.
All right, thank you, bud.
All right, y'all. Had a good little thing about J Dub, James Whalen, former tight end from the Dallas Cowboys. Really appreciate him jumping on, but you know me, I'm coming with them tough questions. We ain't letting you slide off of here. We ain't gonna let you slide because you play with the boys, all that good stuff. We still asking questions. That's what we got to do. So I really appreciate James jumping in. Thank you very much, James Whalen, once again for taking your time out. We were supposed to do it early in the morning. It didn't work out, and he was gracious enough to say, hey, man, I can't do it in the morning because this is not working with the phone and everything, but we can do it tonight. So I really appreciate him, taking his time out to the schedule and doing this with me. So shout out to you once again. So, great job. He said, I am. Come on, man. Hey, everybody ain't going to love this and that. So that's just the way it is, y'all. That's just the way it is. But we can still have a great time with it. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to give y'all heads up. I talked to Barry Church today, and I talked to Matt Johnson. I know I gave y'all the heads up on that, on Matt Johnson and Barry Church, that we were going to do a secondary show. They're both down to, get it done. So I think it's going to be next week. I just got to iron out the day. But both of them have agreed to doing it with me. So we're going to have a secondary show. We're going to talk about a lot of secondary. We're going to get in the nitty-gritty of cornerbacks, safeties. We're going to talk about the guys that are on the team now, possible free agents. We're going to talk about possible draft picks, and we're going to hit all that next week. Former safety Matt Johnson with the team, former safety Barry Church. They both played together. They both know each other, and I said, let's do a show. They both agreed to it, so we're going to make that happen next week. I have a tentative date. But I want to make sure it's good for both of these guys, the time, so we can get them in the building. That's going to be an explosive show. That's going to be a great show. Make sure, I feel you, Jim Laws. It's all good. Hey, but you know what? When people come on, their opinion may not be what everybody likes, but the great thing about it is we may not agree on the opinions, but we have a still good dialect. I don't want to just have people come over here on the show and just say, well, I love everything about Dak Prescott. I want people to say, well, I don't agree with this. So we can have good dialogue back and forth. It can't always be we all agreeing. That's not a good show. That's not fun to me. You know what I'm saying? But I really appreciate it. But like I said, Barry Church, Matt Johnson next week. I also talked to Quincy Carter again. Me and Q are real cool. I think I threw it in the air to y'all, but me and Q are real cool. We talked a couple of days ago, and I said, bro, get on the show, man. You played me last time. Get on this damn show. He said, my bad, dog. We're going to make that happen. He's in Georgia right now with his kids, so we're going to get that lined up, and I got a couple other people that I got going on as far as some linebackers. I want to try to get a positional player that used to play with the boys and bring them on and talk about the position. Like James Whalen, you play tight end. Let's talk about tight ends. Barry, Matt, you play safety. Let's talk about safeties. I got some cornerbacks I'm working on. I got one linebacker in particular I'm working on right now. He used to play with us, and he was a pretty good linebacker with us. So I'm working on some guys where I can talk about positionals. I got an offensive lineman that play with the Cowboys I'm working on. So I want to get these specific players with these specific positions so they can come in just like James was talking about. I really appreciate how he was breaking down with the hand placement, eyes, and what he need to look at that position. It goes into formulating when you look at a tight end and when you talk about a player, it helps. So I just want to bring in these type of positional players so they can break down those positions so we can understand it even better. So when we're looking at these players, we're going like, okay, so that's what that is. So just, going to have a good time and going to get excited about that. So please keep on staying in tune, man. It's going to be real explosive. We receivers, corner, all that. Trying to bring in a player that we can interview, that we can all sit down and listen and look at to the insides of, what they see, what they look at, what coverage is, cover 3, cover 2. If the player does this, what does this look like? We want to get in all those facets. And also want to tell you guys that I sent a message to my members as I'm about to get off of here. I'm going to step up my production and got a good person of mine. I will reveal his name later. That's going to possibly start producing some of my shows for me, kind of step my game up a little bit of that because I'm so damn 90s. I'm so 90s in this piece. I need to get 2021. I'm so 90s. You feel me? I know I am. I'm so 90s. I know y'all. I'm not like some of these other guys, but, I want to step my game up a little bit back on that production tip. So got a guy that, and like I said, I'll reveal his name later when we get everything together and the ball rolling, just to, do some other things and make it happen. So just make sure you keep on supporting, staying tuned, loving the show, subscribing, members, all that good stuff. Got some really good stuff in tune, in store and in head. So I'm excited about it, man. I'm excited to do some good, all the little stuff that they do. I'm excited about it. So, always trying to evolve, always trying to step up, always trying to get better, always trying to improve, always trying to do the things for the people, give what the people what the people want. That's what I'm trying to do. Get what the people want. So more videos, more production, more things for get the people what you want. So what you guys want, I'm just trying to bring that realness to y'all so y'all can touch it and feel it. So I really appreciate all you guys, man. I love you guys. Have a great night. Appreciate you, KMT. Rue Glock, I love you, dog. I don't know what that was. I'm sorry. Quincy, KMT, all my people, Jim Laws, my dog. All y'all, my Law Nation, my dog, appreciate you. The Reaper, what's up, baby? So, we just got it going down, man. We're just going to keep on grinding. You know how we do on the late night hype. We're going to keep on pushing that fire, man. Yo got flame. We just want to give y'all the best. And I can't wait. Hopefully this COVID pass and we can get to camp this year because of me and Law, we got the camp set up. We had it a couple years ago, man, and that was dope. So, man, hopefully they can get this COVID thing together and we can actually get to training camp this year because I'm going to be at camp. And the games, we want to get back to the games, all that good stuff, man. That was great a couple years ago when Law and everybody, and we were kicking it at the games. DDP, just had a great time, man. I want to be able to get that back again. So hopefully they can get this COVID thing together and we can get back and get at the games, camps, all that good stuff. I'm going to bring y'all that best coverage that I possibly can and have all the YouTubers out there and Facebook be able to touch and see it. You know what I mean? So appreciate you guys. I love you guys and continue to support this page like no other, man, so we can bring the real. You know what I mean? That's what we're here for. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you for everybody tuning in. Go like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And got some more videos dropping of some college players. And you know how we do, man. Get ready for some more interviews coming up. And we'll talk to you soon. Big Game James, Silver and Blue Nation, the late night hype. You know how we do, man. I love y'all. And we'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out.